Hey guys, it's Joel with Coreware. Today I'm in Clearwater, Florida at Accurate Gun Auctions. You guys have seen them on our on some webinars that we've done. We've got some future webinars planned with them, but I want Captain Jeremy to introduce himself and tell you who he is and what Accurate Guns Auctions. I'm sorry, I say Accurate Guns. It's actually Accurate Gun Auctions. Tell us what Accurate Gun Auctions is.
Hey, Joel, thanks for coming down from the great state of Louisiana. I hope you're enjoying your visit here. As you mentioned, my name is Jeremy. I'm Captain Jeremy Guns. Some people know me by. And I'm here at Accurate Gun Auctions, a company that me and a couple of my partners have that we auction off guns. And I know Accurate Gun Auctions sometimes slips you up, so let's just call it AGA for short.
AGA, and I did have a question about that. I've actually gotten on to some people that work under me, and we do, some marketing stuff and some social stuff, and I'm like, it's Accurate Gun Auctions, because I know how people are with their branding. When people mess our branding up, I get really furious. It's like, man, have some respect. So I'm glad I know I can call it AGA now. And and you guys, what niche do you feel in this industry, in the firearms industry?
Well, our best niche is that we help, especially Coreware dealers, get rid of used inventory that that's been sitting on the shelf. Aged inventory. Aged inventory is not making any dealer money, so we help them get rid of those aged inventory, and we do it simply and easily through the Coreware software. It's a matter of 5 clicks, and bang, the gun comes our way, and we get it on our next auction.
Yeah, and you guys have already seen the video. Hopefully, if you haven't, let us know. But we've tried to put as much information out there as possible. So if you log into Core Store, you should see in the Core HUD or the information center on the right there a video, a tutorial on how to use Accurate Gun Auctions. But we already know how that works. We should. So what I want to know, Jeremy, is what happens when a gun arrives here?
Well, because of the Coreware software, it's very simple. We just confirm the serial number matches the Coreware software. We click received, and then bang, the dealer knows that we have it, and then the next process starts.
Okay, so it is pretty simple. It's simple for you guys, and it's simple for Jeremy and his people here at Accurate Gun Auctions, but that's when the real work starts. So Jeremy, I do have a question, and I've got it written down here because you know me, I can't remember anything. Some retailers think auction fees are high. Can you walk us through the work and expertise that's included in that fee?
Every auction item gets at least an hour to 2 hours spent on that gun. That gun comes in, it goes to our photo department. Our photo department will wipe it down and then take minimum 15 pictures. They would take every angle of the firearm. Any blemishes like scratches, we'll take pictures of those because our buyers trust our pictures, know that we are not hiding anything. And that's good for our sellers because our buyers are willing to spend more money on the gun. So pictures are key. And if you were to do that privately, it's going to cost you a couple $100 in itself to take a picture of a gun, or a lot of labor on your part. And are you set up for taking pictures? Probably not. We have a dedicated room for our photographs. We have, I think, 5 or 6 different lights on the camera. We have white background. We have the white background that's placed on a daily basis, so it stays clean. Because guns come with dirt on them and grease, and then that white background gets all dirty. So we're constantly replacing that. So we have a room dedicated for taking pictures, which is one of our biggest steps in the auction world, is taking pictures.
And that, to me, that's the most important, because if I go to an auction site and I see pictures and it's just a gun laying on some black carpet, or a gun against a white wall, which is actually cream colored wall. It's not really white. I'm not a photo snob, but if I'm gonna spend money on something, I want the most accurate representation of that product possible. And I know you guys provide that here because I've watched them take pictures. Now you take between 15 or more, maybe 15, 25 pictures. Okay.
Minimum 15 pictures for every gun. And if it's a high exotic gun, we're going to take multiple pictures. Sometimes we take pictures, real close pictures of the bore,
right,
or the action or the bolt. Sometimes it is a older gun to where we want to show that the gun has matching serial numbers. Because some of the older guns, if they have matching serial numbers on the frame and the barrel and the stock, that brings up the value. So we'll make sure we show those in the pictures, so the buyer gets a true value of what they're buying.
Okay, now I do want to point something out because we've talked about this. Let's say a gun shows up and you see a little nick in the either the barrel or the the grip, are you gonna highlight that in your photos? Because obviously, if I'm taking photos, I'm trying to make the most perfect representation. I want to make it look good. What do you guys do if there is something wrong with the gun? If there's a imperfection?
We're gonna take pictures of it because we're honest. We're not hiding anything.
Right.
Our customers trust us to give them accurate pictures, and that's good for the seller too, because the seller knows that we're representing the gun properly. There's not going to be returns, because the last thing as a buyer wants is to get a gun that there was a big scratch on it. Nobody disclosed the scratch. Now they want to return it. There's fees to return it, shipping costs, and money being back from the seller to buyer. It creates a huge mess and a lot of untrust, non-trust. So we make sure we show everything so everybody on both sides of the transaction are happy and know exactly what they're getting.
Okay, so we've seen the photo room.
Yep.
The gun arrives. You guys check it in. Pretty simple process. It's on that table. You guys are taking numerous pictures to get the most accurate representation of that gun possible. Now, who is doing the description? Because obviously, some guns, they may be a little special. They may not be in circulation now. So a distributor may not, or a manufacturer may not have a description you can use. Who does that specific description? Who writes that?
So that's a team effort. We have several people that are specialists in different fields of firearms. So if it's a certain older firearm or newer firearm, it's going to go to that person to properly describe it. A lot of times we'll reference the website of the manufacturer. For instance, Colt. Colt has a great website to where we can track the serial number, confirm the year, confirm the date, confirm the model, all within Colt. So we'll do that. We'll reference it with Colt to make sure it is a legitimate Colt with the shipping date or the manufacturing date, and just add more value to that firearm, confirming that the firearm is what we believe it is. There is also third-party people that we reference to on some higher-end old antique guns to get a true story to confirm that it's a real gun or it's a battle-worn gun or maybe it's a replica. That all can change the value of the gun. So we use those resources when appropriate to make sure we get the seller the right information so he can make the proper bid. And so, so the buyer can make the proper bid. And so that way the seller also is comfortable that we're getting him the maximum value for his firearm.
So why do these professional listings, why do they bring a higher price than if somebody's out there just doing it on their own?
The buyers always like professionalism. They like seeing professional photos. They know the photos are real. They like professional descriptions or most accurate descriptions. As our name, Accurate Gun Auctions. We're known for great pictures and accurate descriptions. To the buyer, that means a lot. And what that means to the buyer is he may be willing to spend a few more dollars knowing exactly what he's going to be purchasing. Versus if he's on one of the other millions of auction sites out there and seeing lousy pictures, very vague descriptions, or a description says simply see photos, he doesn't know exactly what he's bidding on. Well, he's going to take more of the risk, the less money he's going to spend, right? The less risk, the more money he's willing to place a bid. So we like to lower that risk by using professional pictures, professional descriptions, and the most accurate descriptions that we could possibly give. So Joel, we also know that we're not perfect. So we do make mistakes from time to time in our descriptions. Sometimes the computer actually makes a mistake too and uploads the wrong description to a wrong gun. And we acknowledge when we make those mistakes, and we have no problem receiving the gun back and giving the buyer a full refund when we make those mistakes. Because we've built trust with our buyers. They are comfortable bidding on items. They know what they're going to get. And if there is a mistake made, we will honor and fix that mistake. We're not going to say, right. That's your problem. It's the auction. It is what it is. No. If we made a mistake, we'll fix it.
And I do want to point this out because Jeremy was literally waiting for me to either highlight the next topic we were going to talk about or whatnot. And that was not planned. And this is take 2. Yesterday, he did the same thing. So he's remembering these things. And that's very important to Accurate Gun Auctions to let you guys know, hey, they're not a fly-by-night operation. If there's an issue, they're willing to own it and do what it is, do whatever they have to do to make things right. So I'm glad you brought that up on your own. I didn't bring that up. he's literally waiting on me. He's like, Joel, like, come on, man, I got stuff to do. And so I'm glad you brought that up. But
we answer our phone. A lot of auction houses don't even have a telephone number you can call.
right.
We have a telephone number you can call anytime you want. We are open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. We have a toll-free number. It's 844-GUN-DEAL. 844-GUN-DEAL. So call that number anytime you want to speak to one of our associates. We're more than happy to help you through the process or talk about an existing auction. If you have any questions about an item that we didn't put in the description, we'd be more than happy to find out that item. There's a lot of times we'll get collectors will call us up and say, hey, can you check this part of the gun, because that'll indicate what year it is, and they want to know what year it is. And we'll go in the back and check that for them. Then once we know, we'll actually add that to the description too, saying, hey, because of this marking, we believe that the firearm is XYZ.
So that literally happened while I was here yesterday, and you were giving me a tour of the, the literal bunker you guys keep everything in, and it was that the gun from the 1700s, the PI showed up, and you guys found out, and I think you mentioned to one of your guys, did we put that on the, did we take a picture of that and put that in the description? They're like,
right.
Yep, made it happen. So I literally saw that happen. So this is not like a, you send the gun off, they do the work, and then it's hiding until it's bid on. There's constant work going on, right? Especially if it's something older or something that can bring you, the seller, more value. They're looking for ways to get more accurate information, but also, if the more accurate the information, probably the better price you're going to get for that gun. So I witnessed that firsthand, and I thought it was really cool because, it's a dynamic. An auction is a dynamic thing. It's not just a flat. You send it in, it's somebody bids on it, and it's gone. You guys are constantly working to get good, accurate pricing on those guns for the sellers.
We welcome information from sellers. If a seller has a special document pertaining to that gun, maybe a war document showing that it was released from the War Department to a particular soldier, we'll take those documents. Or if you have information on the description that we're missing, feel free to email to us or give us a phone call, and we'll update it, because we want to make sure you have the maximum value for the firearm that you're selling through Accurate Gun Auctions.
Absolutely. Now, my next question is, it's not a question I just heard, and maybe you can clarify. You guys show your product on multiple auction platforms. How does that help the seller?
So when we're promoting it, it's a marketing tool. The more eyes in front of it, the higher value it is. So we will, we don't do it on every auction, but a lot of auctions we will list them on multiple platforms to get the maximum viewership of the firearm. In general, our main auction platform, which is Hybrid, that we currently use, we have somewhere between 1.2 to 2 million views every auction. And a lot of them are returned, but a lot of them are new. And we have a growing email list of 60,000 members right now that we send out the catalog to every month. So our audience is constantly growing. One thing we don't have a problem is selling the firearms. And we're not afraid of the high-end firearms. We have a $40,000 Cosmo shotgun in our warehouse right now. We've had $60,000 Uzis with full silencers and fully automatic that were pre-banned. So we're not afraid of the high-end items, and we get them sold.
So what kind of audience do you reach? Is it mostly collectors, retailers, buyers, sellers? Who are you mainly after?
As far as selling wise?
Yes.
Selling wise, if you want to buy a gun, you're our customer, right? So, we have individuals, we have new people that have just turned of age and looking for a good deal. They don't know where to find one, or, they're in a city where everything's overpriced. So they'll come to us to look for guns. We have collectors. We have hobbyists that will buy 2 or 3 this month, sell 2 or 3 next month. So, some people collect, buy and sell cars. Other people collect and buy and sell guns. So we have a great market for that. We have a lot of dealers. We got dealers in New York that buy a lot of our hunting rifles, that come in from, say, Colorado or Texas, that are not necessarily selling or overpopulated in those states, but in New York, that's a gem. So we have New York dealers that will buy guns from us. So we have anybody and everybody buying guns. It's a great business to be in, and our market is just about anybody who is willing to buy a firearm. who supports the Second Amendment rights.
So once a gun is listed, how does your team monitor the auction process?
Well, we have the auction up on most of our computers all day long. We're just kind of monitoring it, making sure there's no surprises. It's usually a self-driven kind of machine, but like any machine, it needs to be monitored to check for anomalies. One thing we're checking for is a odd user that doesn't have history in the auction, all of a sudden bidding up a bunch of guns, and he's winning a bunch of guns. And he's all of a sudden brought up a tab of $10,000 or more or something. We'll give them a call. We'll make sure they're real. Maybe have them send us an ID, confirm who they are. Because last thing we want is somebody just running up the guns and then not paying for them, right? So that's the biggest thing we're watching in the auction, is to make sure there's no surprises that some kid just decides to play games. And the auction software itself does a pretty good job of doing that. But everything's hackable, and we want to make sure that somebody's not raising bids where they shouldn't be. And Joel, you're asking us about monitoring the website, the auction, why it's going live. One thing we're also monitoring is to make sure that some of the nicer, higher end guns is getting the attention that it deserves. If we notice that there are a gun or two that are not getting the proper bids, we'll do some marketing for that particular firearm. We'll throw that on our email blast to let everybody know that, hey, this gun is available right now. It's a great deal. Bid on it. So we'll draw attention to the guns that are maybe lacking some attention, just by mistake. Because everything gets overlooked from time to time, and sometimes you have to make an effort to draw attention, and that's all included. There's no extra marketing fees or anything with Accurate Gun Auctions. We do all the heavy lifting for our consumers.
Okay, for you guys that have put in all the work, what's the most exciting thing about watching one of these auctions unfold?
When we have an estate collection that somebody brought to us, especially a widow, that we can turn around and give her a nice fat check. It's not uncommon for us to write a $100,000 check to a widow who gave us a bunch of guns. So at the end of the day, we feel good that she was able to sell her guns at the best value at today's rate, safely, securely, and giving her a peace of mind that the guns are going to somebody that legitimately is allowed to have them, and she got the best deal. It's amazing how many people will take advantage of that widow, and because the widow has no idea how much they're worth. And
Right.
Somebody might offer her $5,000. She's like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. I'll take it. In reality, she's sitting on a $100,000 collection.
Right.
And we've seen it happen. And it's great when they give us a hug and they're very excited about that check.
Right. And what I like about that, and I'm not just agreeing with you to agree with you, but it's true. If someone were to do that, the market decides the price. You guys aren't here, manipulating prices or anything. The market's deciding the price, because obviously if it's a really good deal, you guys are going to, bid on it or whatnot. So yeah, that's really true. So my next question is, what happens right after the auction ends?
Right after the auction ends, we send out invoices and we collect on payment. Everybody, when they sign up for the auction, has a credit card file, and it automatically gets billed. I believe it's 24 hours after the auction. And sometimes we have to chase, every once in a while, there's a few credit card declines because of fraud alerts, and so we got to call them and say, hey, say yes so we can rerun the credit card. After that's done, everybody gets an email saying, hey, please upload your FFL so we know where to ship that gun, because as everybody knows that you can't ship guns to a private person. So we get that gun ready for shipping. All our guns are shipped within 48 hours after receiving payment and the FFL. So typically 80% of our guns are shipped out the first week after the auction ends. Then the second week, we start sending out checks to all the consigners.
And that's the main question that people want, is how fast are the retailers, our customers, how fast will they get paid? Or, for those out there that are doing this on your own, how fast are they going to get paid? So you're looking at around 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
Fast. If we weren't called Accurate, we'd be called Fast Gun Auctions.
There you go.
Because we are fast. We are the fastest industry for shipping out guns after the auction.
Yeah.
And sending out checks after the auction.
There you go.
Everybody comes to us impressed on how fast they get paid and how fast they receive their guns.
Right. Okay.
And in the auction world, that is the biggest complaint with auctions, is they're slow to pay or they're slow to ship out our firearms.
Right. So I've had a great time here looking, I had the full tour. I've seen the guns come in, I've seen the guns go out, I've seen where the guns are kept. And if you're worried about safety or, security of your guns, don't. I think I could probably get a Delta Force detachment to come in and maybe take some stuff, but it's not going to be that easy. You have done a good job with security. That's my former job, is to look at weaknesses in people's security and whatnot.
Thank you,
And
Bill. That means a lot.
yeah, it is. And I mean, I could get in here. Don't get me wrong.
Well, anybody can
However,
get in anywhere they want to.
exactly, because that's all any security is. It's just something to tie them up. It's just a roadblock. So anything can be defeated. But you had a story recently where you told me about the police response. So
Yes.
tell me that story again.
So we had an instance to where there was a windstorm came through and it set off one of our sensors. So the alarm went off. Instead of calling in a false alarm, I figured, let's just test the police response and let it go through. And the police were here in literally 2 minutes. They were here faster than I was, I was 10 minutes away. I was expecting to beat them here, but no, they beat me here. And when I went back on the security cameras to see what time they were literally here 2 minutes after the alarm went off.
Yeah, so when you said that, I thought, yeah, he's probably embellishing a little bit, but you literally went and looked
Correct.
at the footage, and it was literally 2 minutes later that they were here. So
Literally one block away, one street, 1 block away from us.
yeah,
And we're on a main drag, so police are constantly going up and down.
right.
And there is, might get in trouble for that, but there's always a speed trap 3 blocks from our office. So there's 2 police cars usually there monitoring the speed.
This is the first I'm hearing about this. He did not tell me. I've been to his place twice now, and he never mentioned it. I'm just hearing about it. Thank you so much.
You're from Louisiana, so you don't speed.
I really don't speed. I'm
you're-
so boring, like really boring.
I mean, you have one of those big Ford Chevy Suburbans that you take your time. You're riding in luxury, not in speed.
Yeah. So we're getting ready to wrap it up. I do have, we'll call this the lightning round. Got a couple of questions I would like to ask.
Questions for me?
Yep. And I'm going to just read because, as you know, I'm really horrible with memorizing things. So, what's one thing most retailers don't realize about the amount of work and expertise that goes into an auction?
If they've never done auctions themselves through one of the other third party, it is the photographs. The photographs require some equipment, require some planning. You can't just throw it on a table and expect it to take good pictures. And that's where a lot of retailers suffer. And they try to get creative with what they have in their office. But in the day, if you don't have lights and you don't have the proper equipment to take good pictures, they're not going to come out great. And pictures are everything when it comes to auctions.
Right. And as you've been talking, obviously I'm going to have some of that footage where I was with the photographer rolling, just so you can see, just to get a glimpse of the process. He was photographing a rifle at the time, and it literally is white glove. You may not see it in his right hand because that's his camera hand, but his left hand is wrapped in a white glove, and that's how they do that now. And I know he does other things. He told me, because I obviously want to bring you guys information so that you can see what kind of service they get. And I said, what else do you do just besides photographing? And he said, well, if it looks horrible, I'm obviously going to wipe it off. So you're going to get a good wipe down. They're trying to give the buyer, the potential buyer, the best, most accurate representation of that firearm, good, bad, and ugly. So you want all of the nicks and scratches and whatnot to show up, dents, because if I'm buying something and you show me the best side of it, and when I open the box, it's showing me the worst side, I'm not going to deal with you anymore. I'm literally not. And most people are like that, especially in this industry. We're no nonsense. The 2A community is no nonsense. Don't screw us over. You're not going to be able to do it again, right? Fool me once, shame on everybody. It's not happening again. So
we do a function test of every firearm. we'll make sure that the firearm cycles. If it's a
Right.
pump, we'll pump it.
Yep.
If anything has a hammer, we'll make sure the hammer comes back, make sure the trigger works properly.
Right.
So we're not going to, just like any other auction, we're not going to guarantee the firearm is safe to shoot. That would be
Right.
you and your gunsmith. We will list it as new if it comes from a dealer and it's never been shot and it's new from a dealer. We will also tag it as new, so you can expect it to be in new condition.
Right.
Or if it's one of those guns that maybe shot 4 or 5 times, that somebody put it in their box and never touched, we'll put like new condition.
Okay.
So we'll kind of give you an idea of what condition it is. And if we physically do a function test and we know that it won't cycle or the trigger's bad, we'll list that in the description. We will say that it appears to be a non-firing gun,
Right.
or it won't cycle, or the slide won't come back, whatever the case may be. So we'll spend a few minutes doing a function test, a general function test, to see what the firearm is acting.
Okay. So listening to you, I'm asking a question. I mean, it just kind of bubbled up while you were talking about that. What are the top 3 things that our customers should do before they send those guns off? Because obviously, they want to make sure that their customers are getting the best deal as well, because they're trusting you with their name, right? And they're trusting themselves to their customers. So there's a 3-way trust going here. What would you encourage them to do to get the best deal for their customers, to make sure that everything's as smooth as possible?
So, number 1, original boxing. Any kind of original packaging the firearm came with, include that. Any literature, user manual, any of that stuff, put that in the box. Just like a car, all the original accessories. If you put a light on it, take the light off, put the MOS pad back on. You might not want to take out the new trigger, but put the old trigger in the box too. Original accessories that came with the firearm, new from the factory, is always a plus.
Right.
And then also, just make sure the serial number matches with what's in your bound book, so both our bound books are correct.
There you go. That's really good advice. Some of it I didn't even think of, but that is when I've looked at auctions, and I had one guy that bid on Ruger Mark 1s.
Okay.
He bought every one that he could get, he was buying. And I'm like, why do you like, he just liked the gun. But it's amazing what an intact, pristine box would add to the value of the gun. And it's like, are you serious? That added that much to that value. And it's like, yeah. So that's good advice.
Well, yeah, if you bought a Sears Roebuck shotgun back in the day and you had that Sears Roebuck box,
Oh, that's huge.
adds huge value.
Yeah.
Or some of the old nylon 22s, if you had those original boxes, those add value. We have ammo that has significant value because it has an old Winchester box that no longer in production, or Remington, or whatever the case would be.
Right.
Especially for things that are not being made anymore.
Right.
The original box is great.
Yeah. So keep that in mind out there. And if you do the research, send them any research that you've done on the gun, right? And that brings me to my second question here. If I'm a firearms retailer sitting on old inventory, why should I consider accurate gun auctions over just discounting the guns?
That's because you have a reputation within your store, and we all train customers, and customers are smart and pick up things. So if a customer knows that you're going to discount your guns every 90 days, they're going to come around looking for those deals on those 90 days. So they're going to wait for the discount to buy the guns from you. Versus you send it to us, all they know is your guns are good priced at today, and so they're going to buy those prices. They're not going to sit down waiting for you to discount the guns. So it's always best to send out the guns and have somebody else discount them for you, so that way the guns in your store stay valued and you're not discounting yourself and doing yourself a disservice. Sales hurt the business down the line.
Right. Yeah, doing anything for it. Just
Correct.
Yeah, because I've known people that do that. They don't understand that person that they tried to squeeze everything they could out of that person is not going to come back. And if you just treated people right, you're building, future customers. So, yeah.
We all go to, Best Buys or Sam's Club, BJ's. We always go to that clearance aisle to see
Oh,
what's on
first thing,
clearance.
yeah,
You
first
know,
thing.
so I mean,
And
that's no
online
different.
too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to get that TV that somebody watched for the Super Bowl, brought it back on Monday.
Yeah.
We're gonna go in and grab that Tuesday.
Yep. Yep. All right. So here's my last question. And um, this is always interesting to ask anybody in any field, right? Because I love seeing people succeed no matter what they're doing. Like, I just love seeing people do well at what they love doing and what what they're good at. What's your biggest success story that you've seen come through your doors? Like, it could be personal or it could be a customer that just their mind's blown because of what you did for them. But it doesn't matter. It's just what is the most marked thing that you can remember happening since you've been doing this?
It's got. I mentioned it before. It's got to be the widows when we help the widows out. When they're called up crying that their husband just passed away. They have no idea what they're going to do with these 300 guns. They don't drive anymore. They're afraid to have somebody come to their house or try to sell them themselves. So for us to have the ability to fly out to them, comfort them, give them an accurate inventory of what they have, take all the firearms off them instead of just one at a time. Because a lot of people come and say, oh, these 10, I'll take these 10, I'll take these 5, I'll take these 20. They're going to take what they think they can sell and move. And we're going to take it all because we can move it all because we have an international audience. So we'll take all those firearms and then in 30 days later, hand her a check. And you can just see the relief on her, like, that's one less thing I have to worry about.
Right. That's really good.
Because there's several things she's got to worry about
Oh yeah.
when somebody passes away.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be stressful. So that is a really good story to end on. Now, I know that we've talked about you and I having a future webinar, and you mentioned something yesterday. It was fascinating to me. Now, I don't want you to go into too much detail, but I want you to lightly scratch the surface of what we will be going into in regards to trust. Not that you should trust me. That's not the trust we're talking about, but we're talking about trusts. So can you briefly touch on that topic that you brought up yesterday?
Sure. So, like I said, that the widow is not sure what she's going to do with all these firearms. Well, if her husband had threw them in a trust and then made accurate gun auctions the beneficiary as far as handling the firearms after his passing and in cutting her a check, then everything's free and clear. There's no more worries. She makes a phone call. Hey, my husband died. I'm executing the trust. So we can go into more detail in another webinar how that works. But it is a way for anybody who owns a collection to make sure that their collection goes to the appropriate people. Because let's face it, kids and everybody else fight over all kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
And so and firearms is worth some money. Firearms, depending on your size of collection, firearms could be worth as much, if not more, than certain real estates. And so you want to make sure that your collection gets left to the appropriate people.
Right.
And that person also gets the best value that they can.
So now you know what our next webinar with Jeremy is going to be about, because I found that fascinating, not only because it's a good thing to do to take care of your family, once you're gone, but more importantly, it gives you an excuse to buy more guns. I mean, you're telling your wife, hey, this is for our retirement. You know what I mean? And I know it sounds like I'm joking, but it's true, because guns very rarely go down in value. Most guns will keep their value or they'll go up. And obviously, for an auction site, the market decides what that gun's going to be sold for or bought for. So, and that, to me, that's the most honest way to do it. You're allowing the people to, that's the only time I really believe in pure democracy is when they're spending they're voting with their dollars. So I'm really excited to get into that topic. Is there anything else that you want to cover before we end this? Because I told you it was going to be a little shorter today, and it is. So,
well, one thing I mentioned yesterday was our senior citizens. They have mass load of guns, and it's not uncommon for a senior citizen to have 100, 200, 300 guns, and we all are dealing with inflation right now. So we have a few customers that will send us 4, 5, 6 guns every month to subsidize their income. Because of inflation, their Social Security is no longer helping them, giving them enough money to live on a daily basis. Taxes are higher, gases are higher, everything's higher right now. So that's a great way to subsidize your income you're sitting on a boatload of guns. Send us 5 guns a month, and that adds to your income every month to help you get through life.
Right.
Instead of dying and somebody else collecting that money, why don't you take advantage of your long, hard-earned collection of firearms and cash in on a few.
Right. And that's what you guys out there will do for your customers, because Jeremy's doing this nationwide with whoever he'll deal with, right? But you've got a place where people walk in, they're looking around your store. You've built trust with these people over the years, and I knew people like that when I worked in the industry. And you got your regulars, and they're a little older, and they're really proud of their collections and whatnot. And it's just something good to do, just something good to keep building that relationship with those people and letting them know that is an option. Hey, times can get tough sometimes, and that no one's if you got guns, you do have something of value you're holding on to, and that can make the world of difference during a bad stretch. So that's really good.
And for you Coreware dealers out there, we do have a program that we are in the process of developing. It's going to be called a drop-off center, an Accurate Gun Auctions drop-off center. And what it is, it's able for Coreware dealers to become a drop-off center for Accurate Gun Auctions. And so you're going to get a banner, something like the one that's behind here, Joel. And we'll put that dealer's logo on here, so it looks like he's part of us. And basically, the idea behind it is maybe you're currently charging 15% commission to bring in firearms on consignment. Mm-hmm. So you keep that for guns you want to keep in-house that makes sense to keep in-house. And then you offer them a 20% consignment fee on sending them to Accurate Gun Auctions, which gets them an international audience, which gives them a bigger audience, which most likely gives them more profit for their gun, because it's going to be bid up. So that gives you an option, another option for your consumers to drop off the guns. And on our website, we're going to mark that. Once we have this up and running on our website, it will be Premier Dealers, Premier Drop-Off Dealers. So we're going to market and advertise your gun shop on our website as one of our preferred dealers. And what that also means is if somebody buys an auction in your area and is looking for an FFL to pick it up, you're going to be listed as our preferred vendor. So they'll come and pick up the firearm from you guys and maybe pick up a box of ammo or a new sleeve or something for that firearm they just purchased on the auction site.
Perfect opportunity to start a new relationship with a long-term customer. And that's what I want everybody out there to realize as well. When you guys are bringing in, I've talked to a lot of dealers, and they make a lot of money on consignments because it's very little overhead, right? I mean, It's just space. And obviously, yeah, if you can get a better price in your shop, do it, absolutely. But there are probably guns that have been in there for months, right? I've been in stores where it's like this stuff's, it's not 120 days. It could literally be a year. People just hold these guns. They're just waiting for somebody to buy them. Well, this is the perfect opportunity to get them in front of millions of eyeballs that you would never be able to do on your own. So I say, just give it a look. I know it sounds like I'm trying to sell this. The only reason I am is because we've made it so simple. Like, you're already using Core Store, right? And we want to try to bring you some more value. And this is just the easiest way to start a brand new revenue stream with very little effort. And I know people out there may already have a solution. And if you do, absolutely keep using it. This is for those of you who may not even have considered doing auctions because you think, I don't have the time. Well, now you got the time, right? You've got the few clicks that it's going to take to get that gun boxed up that Accurate Gun Auctions is going to pay to have shipped to themselves. So it's time to just look into it, give a few guns a try, and just see how it works. And it's only allowing you to deepen those relationships with your customers, because when you're able to give them the money that they're expecting, you're going to be their hero. Like, I've not been able to get rid of this gun, and you were able to do it in 30 days or whatever. So give them a try. Be on the lookout for our next webinar. And I know it sounds like I'm wrapping up, because I actually am wrapping up. You'd want to cover something else.
Yeah, because you made a comment about customers coming in consignment, and we're here to complement your current procedures and your current business, and continue doing consignments in the shop, because what sells in your shop, and you can get good value and move it. We suggest that and support that and want you to continue to do that. What we also want you to do is now, instead of when somebody comes in with a collection of 20, 30 guns, stop taking those 5 guns that you know will sell in your store, take all of them. Be the guy that takes all of them. You keep the 5 that will sell in your store, send the rest to us, we'll get those sold, and you can give the consignor 1 check. Consignors love when you take everything. Consignors hate when you say, oh, I'll take those 3 or I'll take those 5, right?
Right.
Because everybody else that they went to said the same thing. Oh, I'm going to only take these 2, or I'm going to only take these 3 because those are the only ones I can sell.
Right.
As soon as you say, I'll take them all, oh, wait, that's the first person that said, I'll take them all. Here they are.
Right.
Take them all. Now you keep the 5 or 6 that will sell in your store, send the rest to us. Everybody's happy. Everybody's making a few dollars. And the consignor wins, the dealer wins, and we win.
Right. So it's literally you're having a paradigm shift in your thinking of, yeah, you'll take in those consignments. You can sell because it's probably stuff you like. Take in everything because they're getting it in front of enough eyeballs that people will buy. I mean, there's just enough people out there. The slice is a lot bigger when you're dealing with an auction service like Accurate Gun Auctions, rather than you think, well, I've got, maybe 100 customers come in on a busy day. You're getting, 100 people looking at this thing, maybe, because they're probably not even looking for those used guns. Everybody that Accurate Gun Auctions deal with, they're literally looking at guns, right? That's all they're doing. So put it in front of the right eyeballs, and that's smart advice. So I think with that, I am going to wrap it up because I know that Jeremy and I are going to have a really good conversation about trusts, and I'm really looking forward to it because, again, I know a lot of guys who want to buy stuff and they can't because they're like, man, my wife would kill me. Now you're just investing in your future, man. You're investing in your retirement. Now you can go out and get that $10,000 Barrett because it's literally going to pay you back one day. So I know I'm making jokes about it, but it really is true. You guys out there, and I'm telling the truth, if you had that in the back of your mind, you would have already bought a whole lot more than you have now, because we try to talk ourselves into making these large purchases. That's just a no-brainer. It's your retirement. So yeah, invest in yourself. So with that, I think I am going to say bye from Clearwater, Florida. Jeremy, thank you so much for the hospitality. You guys have been great. You've completely opened up the doors. I've been able to see everything. I know how everything works here now. And I have the utmost confidence that you guys will be happy with the service you get if you use Accurate Gun Auctions. So do you have any closing words?
Well, we appreciate you stopping by and touring our facility and getting out to the Coreware users that that we are here. We're a player. We have the staff to handle all the firearms that come in, and we treat every customer with respect on both sides of the aisle.
Awesome. And I think with that, I am going to wrap up because I'm ready to go home. I hate to say it. I've been gone almost 10 days.
That's a lot for you.
Yeah, it's a lot for me because usually it's just 2 or 3 shows a year. And this has been an extra long show, but it's been a good trip. I was able to see a lot of our customers at the NSSF Range Retailer Expo, and I was able to stop here, and it's been just a delight. So, but I'm ready to get home, so I'm going to wrap this up. Say bye to all you guys. We'll see you in the next video, and be on the lookout for the invite to the next Accurate Gun Auctions webinar where we're going to be talking about trust. With that, see you later from Clearwater, Florida.
Stuck in the noise, trying to sell, trying to rise, listing every piece with the hope in disguise. Photos flat, bids low, no one sees the truth. Wasting all my time just to lose what's due. But then, white glove, full set, took the weight off me. Accurate stepped in, set my auctions free. 15 shots in a pro-lit room, now the bids stack high like a sonic boom. No more guessing, no more games. They lift the burden, I stake my claim. They bring the crowd, I reap